Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for the Q&A for the Lime Bundle today. My name is Mariel Brown, and with me I have three directors of three of the films in the Lime Bundle. Not everyone was able to join us for the Q&A. I'm joined by Laura Bucher, who directed the film Time Out, as well as Laury Granville, a co-director of Ça ou pas ça Gran Paséw, which is What You Don't Know is Bigger Than You. And then I'm joined also by Robert Macfarlane, who's the director of Immune. Welcome, folks.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us, guys. So all of these films explore slightly dystopian worlds where things have gone wrong. So let's start with that. What made you decide to situate your films and create stories that have to do with almost this dystopian universe that you've created? So if I could ask Laura Bucher first.
Hi. In Martinique, we have a lot of problem with chlordécone, sargassum seed, and stuff like that. So we made a world of, we try to oh, sorry for my English.
Take your time. It's great. You sound great. Take your time.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how to say that, but sorry.
It's okay. You created, I mean, one of the things I loved about the film was the opening shot was this long sweeping shot all along the coastline.
Yeah.
And there was, you were provided with a lot of context and situated in this dystopian universe. So we really got a sense that the world had gone wrong.
Yeah.
But why did you decide to do that?
Because maybe one day if
we aren't careful.
If we aren't careful about this question, maybe one day we will have to face I don't know how to say that. Sorry.
It's a reality that we may well have to face, yes?
Yes, exactly.
So, okay, and so your film is situated in a world in which there's this enormous environmental destruction and degradation, which has meant that there's large pockets of the world that aren't inhabitable, really. And so you're left with a whole bunch of sort of refugees who are kind of populating Martinique, because as you say in the beginning, all the rich people have left, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to survive in this world. Tell me about the world you created, Laury. Have you?
Sorry.
You go ahead.
Yes, I think firstly the word was the team, the producer give us a film to explore. So it was hard to express our originality in this word, and we worked with a young team, a really young team, because I think I was the eldest. The oldest, I think, the older. And so they were really young, and we worked about the writing together. And when they give us this team, this subject, what they think about was this word with some bracelet. And a word where everyone was thinking was was watching the same thing, and just one young man could just free the word and permit that everyone could take back their freedom and
Right.
could think by themselves and etc. So it's a kind of to denounce, I think, a little bit what is happening here now in this world, and if we don't do something maybe, or if we are not careful about this, how it can be. So
Yeah.
yes,
So you're both students, right? These are both student films, yes?
yes,
And
Yeah.
Alain Bida is your teacher?
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
of course.
Because we've had his films in the TTFF many times, and he's a really talented storyteller and animator.
Yeah.
So it must be wonderful learning from him.
Yeah. And he's very patient, very kind. Yeah. It was a pleasure to work with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Rob, tell me about your world. Why is your world dystopian?
Well, I mean, quite apart from the decision of finding the story, I think I've always been drawn to dystopian as a kind of the subgenre of science fiction. Anyway, it's a great way of just exploring something as it could be, as Laura said before. You know, you're getting to explore the extreme of something and saying, well, what if? And I think those what if questions taken to that kind of extreme are really quite interesting, especially when you're starting to look at how has that affected the world and how has that actually affected the way humans interact. And I think that is extremely interesting to explore. And I think all of the films in that type of genre do a really interesting job of that.
Yeah. And so Laura and Laury, I know Rob as a filmmaker, and I know that he was making this film literally just before COVID really became a factor in the UK. So Rob, tell me how COVID affected both the filmmaking process and the story that you wanted to tell.
Well, for those of you who don't know, Immune is about a pandemic. We did start the process of this film in early last year, so we honestly did not know it was coming. We did
No.
not have some secret, let's make our film really popular by doing this. No, quite the opposite. We knew we were going to shoot in January, February, so we in terms of production, we got very lucky that the main production days happened before the main lockdown. We still had to get some cutaways, which had to be done a la moi in places, which is fine. I think everyone knows, these things have to be done. Many directors have gone out to get their cutaways and extra shots. And funding and financing was a big question for us. We did go to Indiegogo. Mariel did an incredible job also giving us advice on our Indiegogo campaign, and we were very concerned that during COVID people really wouldn't want to support a film about a pandemic, but what was wonderful was that people were really enjoyed the story and what it was trying to explore, and they weren't so focused on the pandemic side of it. So I think we were very lucky with the people who looked at our project.
Mm. So Laura, one of the things that I really liked about your film was how you used such simple makeup to denote the tribes and to give us a sense of this other sort of strange world that you were in. Can you tell me a little bit about that idea? Because it was so effective.
The makeup is simple because it was made by ourselves. So
Yes.
I'm not a makeup artist. And it was made by young people, like Laury said, because we worked together too. And I was the eldest, yeah. So and they aren't makeup artists, so it's almost a homemade film. Yeah, I don't know if Laury is agree with me that yeah.
Yeah,
We
no,
are
I
we
mean,
are doing everything by ourselves.
yes.
Yeah. So,
But I mean, it was really a stroke of genius, actually, because they are visually really compelling. And I was just like, why wouldn't I mean, how come people don't think about this? Painting some lines and dots on someone's face and arms, and you get it. Like you understand that
yeah,
these people are on two different tribes, and that, you know, it was really, really well done. I mean, just really smart, thoughtful, cost effective.
thank you. Yeah, because it's because it's a food chase. So at the beginning, we wanted to I don't know how to say that, but we sorry. Sorry, yeah, but at the beginning we have to see the difference between the characters. They
Yes.
aren't they are different, and maybe they are antagonists, or I don't know. Yeah,
So maybe
they are enemies, or
they are
yeah,
warring tribes. Yeah, I
yeah,
get you.
yeah,
Yeah, I get you.
exactly.
That's great. And so one of the things that I enjoyed about your film, Laury, was how you guys used graphics so well, and sort of all this kind of imagery that was generated with on-screen, you know, fairly simple on-screen graphics, and just also how effective that was. Tell me about that.
Like I said, we are a young team with a lot of imagination. That's why they create their own world and really think about everything. And after, I think it's really thanks to Alain Bida that he worked a lot about the post-production. And so I say thank you, Alain, because everything is thanks to Alain. Because yes, if the team thinks to all the word in our mind was this word was in our minds, Alain is the man behind all those graphics and
Right.
make it real. So
Yeah. So, because what's really interesting about all of the films is that you're not using special effects per se. So what you're trying to do is create a sense of time and place, just using clever filmmaking. And there's another film in the bundle that I was watching called Villare, which also does the same thing. And it's a very clever premise, which is that the protagonist in Villare becomes invisible whenever someone loves her. And it seems like a difficult thing that they'd have to use all these fancy tricks and studio effects and all these kinds of things. But really all they did was they shot a stationary shot of the location where she was sitting, and then they shot her in the location, and they basically just made her less opaque. Um, and it was so clever, you know, and such, and it worked, you know. And so having a way to, I think what's so great about when you're on a budget is that you're forced to be creative in
yes.
coming up with solutions for creating that sense of time and strangeness. And so Rob, tell me about, you had the really excellent good fortune of being able to shoot your pickup shots during lockdown when nobody was in the streets of London. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to situate the film in the city, so then when the film did move to the countryside, we felt the difference. So I knew I needed to get something which was relatively poignant, but at the same time, I knew we couldn't bring the crew back out again. So I have a drone, went to a park in London, was able to do some drone footage from that park, which worked out really, really beautifully, especially with absolutely zero cars and people in the streets of London.
Yeah.
It was just kind of slightly haunting in a way.
Yeah.
And I wish I could have shot 10 movies during that period, because you could have shot everything from a zombie flick to a horror flick to a ghost flick. You could have done anything in those streets, and it would have been, I mean, unfilmable at any other time.
Absolutely. That would have really required a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope lots of filmmakers took advantage of the lockdowns in various countries to get some B-rolls and beautiful footage that you'll never get at any other time of the streets completely empty. I mean, London, one of the biggest cities in the world, completely empty. How? I mean, we are living in that dystopian time, aren't we, guys? Yeah. So, okay, so tell me what about the process was for you the hardest, and what about the process did you enjoy the most? Laura.
Yeah, the hardest part. I had to fight against myself because I am not a professional, so every time I was worried about doing bad stuff or things like that. So thanks Alain Vidal again, because he knew I was capable of doing things like that, and being a director of young people, it was very hard, especially when they are like 13 or 15.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So thanks my assistant. Thanks a lot to my assistant director too, Marvin Garcia and Mariel Brown, because without them the film will be different, very different. Yeah. So.
And so what did you enjoy the most? That's what was the hardest. What was the most enjoyable?
It was a dream for me to participate to a short film, so everything was beautiful. And searching for a location to the footage.
Yeah, to film on. Yeah,
film on. Yeah, it was interesting.
And what about Laurie? What about you? I think you're on mute. Yes, you're on mute. You have to unmute your mic.
Sorry. It's a good question. I really appreciated the writing process. It was really interesting. Like Laura said, we work with a lot of young, the team is really young. And it was really interesting because everyone was take a part in the writing process. And it was really interesting to take a part of each idea and to make on a universe with it, and to write the story about it. It was really interesting. And of course, I think the filming was really interesting, like I think in every movie. But the writing is really interesting when you write with this kind of team. I think is really incredible what it gives at the end. So I think the writing was really interesting.
So it was sort of a collaborative process where everybody came up with ideas, right?
Yes.
Okay, but maybe kind of difficult to corral everything into one cohesive story, no?
Yes, it's really hard, and that's why I think at the end, it's just incredible that we just have this movie. So for me, it's really hard, but it's really beautiful at the end. So that's why I think it's really particular. This moment of writing is really special for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. And Rob, so what did you love the most and what was the hardest for you?
Okay, so the hardest probably is going to be developing the actual concept of the film from the script.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties into also stepping up massively. We were incredibly lucky to find a lot of very, very, very kind and talented people to work with, and I knew I had to really step up what I've directed before. I know this was kind of a leap of faith moment, and I had to raise my game. So that was probably the hardest part for me, kind of really putting my faith in my decision making. I think that's the hardest part for all directors. And probably, and what did I enjoy the most
Yeah,
about the
what did you
process?
enjoy the most? Yeah.
I don't want to be really flaky and say working with everyone was brilliant, but that was probably one of them. And then also at each one of the milestones, just before you're about to start production and everything's in place. Each one of those milestones probably was the most joy, because you're like, all of this work has now culminated in, like, I'm ready to shoot. And then you finish shooting, I'm ready to edit. I've actually got everything. And then when you're editing, you go, oh, I don't have everything. Okay, I need to go and shoot again.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And
I forgot that shot. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, shoots!
And then, with the sound design and the composing and the grading and each layer that went in just reinvigorates you. And I think it is that kind of just being reinvigorated back into the film and going, oh, this is why I love this. This is why I do this every day.
And so, Rob, what's next steps for you with the film? And is it sort of like oh wait, I've got a question here from Onika. Knowing what you know about this real world pandemic, if you could go back, would you change anything? That's a great question. Thanks, Onika. That's a great question.
That is a very, very good question. And I think if it was that we were now developing the script, we probably wouldn't necessarily focus on the pandemic quite so much in the film, or maybe we would create a different type of dystopian world. But ultimately, the storyline is not about the pandemic. It's about a pregnant woman and her journey. So the story would probably stay the same. It's just about the world around her and what forces her to go on that journey that would change.
So I was asking Rob before Onika, I saw Onika's question, what is it that you are hoping for with Immune now? I mean, is this a proof of concept? Is this, tell me.
So it's obviously on the festival circuit, and so we're hoping for it to visit many places, as well as Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. And then after that, it will go out to various commissioners and people who may be interested in seeing it TV series version, which the writer Maurice C. Kenny has done a brilliant job in fleshing out the whole TV series and giving us a really great idea of just how big this is. There's a lot that we couldn't squeeze into the short film. We really to kind of trim it right back to its bare essentials. So there's a lot more to this world, but we wanted to give a glimpse and kind of make people want more.
Right. Okay. I have another question for you, Rob, from Oliver Milne, which is, when are we seeing the feature?
So it is a TV series. However, it was originally meant to be a feature film. So there is some parallels there, yes. Unfortunately, it will most likely become a TV series, but we have plans for other features, so there'll be something coming. It's in the works.
Excellent, excellent. And so, Laurie and Laura, what's next for you both? Has this process sort of ignited a curiosity about film? Is it something you want to do again? What's next for you both? Laurie, what's next for you?
For me, this is something I tried with TIMEOUT Company, that is our producer, and learn her how to do. And this is really something I appreciate. That's why I hope I will continue. We have a team with other young people that were with us at the same production. So we continue to work, and we hope maybe to see you again at the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival.
Well, we'd love that. We'd love that. It's really great when I know that it's just lovely to see the films coming out of Martinique, that you guys are making work consistently and sending them out to festivals. It's really, really lovely to see, you know. And so, Laura, tell me about you. Have you been bitten by the film bug? Are you going to do this again?
Maybe one day. I hope to create another short film one day, because I think in Martinique we have a lot of things to explore. Yeah, we have a legend, and we have a world to explore. Yeah, but I think it's difficult because we have to. I think we have to work to produce short film in English. Yeah, and yeah, maybe one day. I hope I will participate to another short film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see TIMEOUT again, or by myself, or I don't know.
So, Laurie, tell me, what specifically would you like to do now?
About the movie, about making movie.
Making movies, yeah.
What the activity I prefer?
Yeah, what would you like to do? I mean, what specifically, you sort of said generally, but what specifically would you like to do next?
I used to be a director assistant before, so I did it on a different movie and inexorable that you had that you have on the festival, and I really appreciate to manage the team and to run the filming, and it's really something I appreciate. I discovered it with those movies, and I really appreciate it. So for me, it's really a good time to manage everyone during the writing, and after during the filming, and this is something I love.
It sounds like you kind of wanting to be a sort of creative producer.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, the Caribbean needs more producers, and the Caribbean needs more creative producers for sure. It's a desperately needed area that we don't have enough sort of professionals working in, you know. Okay, guys, I think we are running out of time. I don't have any more questions, but I would like to thank the three of you for joining us for our Q&A, and I want to remind everybody who's watching that you can get your Lime bundle, which is the bundle that these three filmmakers' films are in. on online.ttfilmfestival.com throughout today until midnight. And then we have lots of great films for you on Monday and Tuesday as well. But do take the opportunity to watch things, because there's only sort of 2.5 more days to the festival. And we don't want you to miss out on all the incredible films that have been programmed for you. And don't forget that if you're in Trinidad, and you'd like to sort of get out of the house, then go and visit our new media exhibition at Medulla Art Gallery on Fitz Street in Woodbrook. It'll be open tomorrow and Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So thank you everybody for joining us, and keep watching, folks. And oh wait, I have a comment here from Delise Francis saying, excellent films, congrats to you all. Let me grab that one just before we go. All right, folks, thank you so much, and keep watching films online, okay?
Thank you for inviting
Take care.
us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.